ebusia for Sekaba TV so name. Any dey kwan so be like or be subscribe na wa share channel amayen. We are not notification bar no so akọ click so. Say ya di audio ni video bi atumi a on sabe kind of fast. Ma rem so be leave or comment section one. Na ende ensem e di ehin wo MPP mu ene o mangene mu ne de ho sensem ebre.
This one says NDC is the most useless, and useless is in quote, political party in Ghana, according to Kwesi Pratt. He explains that it is the most docile and ineffective political party in Ghana's history.
NDC's General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kwesi.
It's a question. You have to just clarify that for me. Please answer that for me.
The NDC sat direct opposite the New Patriotic Party. I sat Mr. McMahon, Mr. Kofi Akpaloo, presidential candidate for a political party, loved New Patriotic Party, our presidential candidate, so much that when he had balloted for his position, he was swapped. I don't know where this is coming from, and we must not at any point entertain such idea or thought in our discourse. Not at all. Nothing out of that sort happened. I think we must throw this issue into the marine.
But for you, the entire process yesterday and the chaotic scenes that we witnessed between your side, the NDC side, on this particular issue, balloting should have degenerated into the scenes that we saw yesterday. Most people have described it as very disgraceful.
Well, I think that those opinions, you cannot vouch for their defense. But for me, we went in to honor the invitation from the Electoral Commission. The EC spelled out to us the mode of conduct of the whole exercise, spelled out the rules of the game. At a point, our colleagues NDC decided to examine the balls that the numbers were going to be placed into. And so Dr. Mahama, Director, IT and Elections, the General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kwesi, took time to examine all the 9 balls in the big vase. When they were done, and they did this examination based on the nature, the form, the character, and the weight of that small ball. When they were done, APC, Dr. Ayariga, did same, LPG, Mr. Kofi Akpaloo, did same, and others also observed the balls. EC, before all the political party representatives, inserted the balls into the ballot papers into the balls, put them in a vase, and said that the picking of the ballot was going to be in 2 phases. The first phase will be to know when you ballot to be on the ballot paper. And the order of inviting parties or representatives to pick on their principal was order of filing. You are aware that the EC opened nomination between 9th and 13th. After New Patriotic Party filing, others also filed. And so we're the first to be called. And so they said that when you pick the ball, you open it and show your number. The New Patriotic Party picked first, and we had number 1. And other parties picked in 10. LPG had number 8, GUM number 3, APC number 2, NDC picked number 7. NDP was 4. Madam Ekeadonko was not around then, so CPP picked 9, and GCPP picked number 6. The only number remaining when the ball was open was 5. So in the order of picking to be on the ballot, New Patriotic Party was going to be first, the APC second, and in that order. After that phase, NDC, when we were just about to go to the second phase, said they want to examine the balls again. We yielded. NDC issue was that there was 1 ball that was unique, and that it has introduced some level of biasness into the whole exercise. They are not in a position to accept a different ball being swapped into the whole arrangement, and that they want the first round that has been done to be nullified and a new one done. And there should be an independent person to fold the papers into the balls to conduct that set of run again. And New Patriotic Party said, no. We agree that the EC has administrative arrangements of conducting this OSS. And this is not the first time we are in for ballots. But I said that because New Patriotic Party picked number 1, in fact, the General Secretary, Honorable Fifi, said that some leaks have been given to favor the New Patriotic Party. Neither here nor there.
And that's not true? That didn't happen?
Never. There couldn't have been anything like that. In fact, we were so shocked that the EC sat and allowed the NDC to dictate the mode of conduct of the whole exercise. And so I will not describe that scene as chaotic. Yes, we exchanged our ideas on how the whole exercise must be allowed to flow. So when the second round came, the NDC observed the balls again. That particular ball they raised concern about was taken out. New ball was introduced for us to have 9 sets of balls to go through the second round. They said that the vase that contained the balls, the transparent vase, should be changed, and that they should bring polythene back, opaque polythene back, so that the balls will be slotted in.
Well, and these are stories that we've told, at least from yesterday. We watched it live as well. So we will not want to go through the entire process as you narrated, but at least some of the questions that have come up, you have, spoken to them. You insist that the NPP was not giving an unfair advantage.
For that happened yesterday, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Jean Mensah, addressed the press. And in her statement, she made it very clear that all the parties were given a fair opportunity. And all of them were also given the opportunity to do corrections. And when you look at the records, only 3 parties or so, 3 candidates didn't have to do any correction. For the rest, all of them were given. And the others couldn't address the concerns the commission told them to address. Well, from the commission standpoint, there are reasons why some people didn't qualify, and there are reasons why some people did qualify. And when you look at the evidence, anyone who wants to know why he or she was disqualified can reach out to the commission. Because during the
shouldn't it be made public so that we all know?
Oh, the process, in the presentation, the chairperson mentioned almost all of them. During the receipt of nominations, if you remember, the chairperson announced that the commission has set up 2 committees, a technical committee and an IT committee, and they had different responsibilities. Some of them will be cross-checking the qualifications of the applicants. Some of them were also cross-checking whether the people who you have provided as your supporters indeed are at the right places they claim they are. And we put all these things together. That's why, as a commission, for the purpose of transparency, all this information, we have them. If anyone wants to know why he or she was disqualified, I think the onus is on that person to write to the commission. I want to know why we disqualified.
They are not going to write to you. They say they are going to court. Are you ready to face them?
The commission is ready. On what basis did we qualify Madam Mekuyadonko? Did we qualify some of the independent? They went through the process. All their documentations were excellent. And the committee that did the work came out with the findings that all these 13 applicants have met the qualifications required by the Electoral Commission. Under no circumstance would the EC favor one person. No, we are not going to do that. And we cannot do that.
Well, the basis for qualification includes a running mate.
A running mate.
Yes, and with a number of them, at least, with the NPP, NDC, a number of them, we know who their running mates are. Is it the case that some of them filed without the running mates? Because we don't know running mates for some of them.
It's one of the requirements. So the commission, next week, we are going to publish the names of all the candidates. That's what the commission is looking at, that. All the candidates as well as their running mates. So anyone who applied and all those who have gone through the process, they came with their...
They all came with their running mates. Okay, but it's not the EC's position to tell us who their running mates are. But they're going to outdo it differently.
It's a public information. We'll make it available in due course.
Okay, Evans.
We gave the opportunity to the parties to examine the balls. It was later on the NDC rep, Dr. Maniboma, indicated that he has noticed some differences. But before we began the exercise, everything was given. And this was done in the full glare of the media, all the political parties, including the independent presidential candidates or their representatives. So we believe that the processes were extremely transparent. So along the line, when the NDC rep raised the flag that he believed one ball was so different from the others, the commission decided that this was an activity we were undertaking for the political parties as well as the good people of Ghana. So if by removing that ball, the process will be able to continue, why don't we allow that? And then, if you know, the surprising thing is that we had 9 political parties going through the process. Each political party has a percentage of about 11.12 or so to get maybe the number 1 slot. Mm-hmm. And you know, Doc indicated that some of the independents were even complaining, why are we not adding them to the mix? So when we finished and we're even doing the one for the independents, not knowing all of them were also clamoring for the number 13. And the independents are only 4. So I was even telling them that all of you want number 13 and you are only 4. That means 25% chance of getting it. And the political parties are actually 9 and they are fighting for a particular slot. So clearly from the EC standpoint, everything was done transparently. As an institution, we don't exist for ourselves. We do so for the people of Ghana. So once the NDC raised the red flag, let's go ahead and let's make sure that we put the necessary measures in place. And we've noticed some people have raised concerns about the paper, the polythene bag that was used. It was an improvised mechanism.
Digitized world like this. We are still doing manual.
In that particular moment, the NDC strongly expressed that no, that transparent vase may end up giving an advantage to one. So we had to improvise something instantly. And without that, the process wouldn't have continued. We recognize there are many political parties in our system, but we do also recognize that there are 2 main, and it's always good to ensure that there is some consensus between these 2. And it's a major, I think Dr. Jamna Buaji mentioned it, we lack consensus on certain basic things. So the EC was pushing for that consensus. So although the MPP side did not agree, the EC made it very clear to them that if that was going to ensure that the process will be able to move forward and we'll be able to achieve the results for which we had gathered, we'll go ahead and use that particular mechanism just to ensure that we may end up with a very important conclusive process.
But more importantly also, is the EC considering moving away from this manual process and digitizing it like we've seen elsewhere?
No, I think this is something the Commission will certainly look at it, and I strongly believe that in 2028 it's going to be much, much better than what we've witnessed. And you know, everything was transparently done, but we've seen the issues that have come up. So the Commission will go back to the drawing board and will certainly look at it. So
the concern has been raised also about what then happens to the parliamentary paper, for instance. Is it the case that the MP's ballot will be designed differently so that the NDC can still maintain their number 8 spot amongst others? What exactly will happen?
Currently, the regime we are using hasn't changed. So as Mr. Adams expressed, that one is not going to happen at the constituency level. But what we do is that, I think for the MPP, because it's number 1, everywhere in the parliamentary constituency, they are going to be.
Okay.
And I think what Honorable Adams has said is very, very important, because as a party, you want to project that everywhere you go, our candidate in that constituency, our candidate here, our candidates are occupying this position. So it's something, these are some of the things the parties can bring to the attention of the EC, and we'll be able to look at it.
We don't run a party list system.
Yes.
So, I mean, I would agree if that is, because I understand why the parties want that. They want recognition, but our system doesn't run
a party list
system to associate your presidential candidate with your parliamentary candidate. It's the parliamentary system is a completely different from the presidential one. So I think if we are looking at balloting at parliamentary level, it has to be a different logic, you know.
So that's science that he talks about.
Unfortunately, in 1992, for example, it was as to the time of what? Submission.
That's right.
So it varied. Some people even went and slept at
so that they can have the
first slot. And the presidential was not linked to parliamentary because even the presidential was in earlier.
Yes.
The presidential was earlier and parliamentary was later.
Exactly.
So it was in 1996 that we decided to bring the two together. And subsequently now we've decided that you don't need to ballot parliamentary at the constituency level. So once you ballot at the national level,
it should apply.
Then it should apply. Now the problem is you have some parties that do not have candidates in every constituency. So take it for example, in 2020, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo picked number 1.
Yeah.
John Dramani Mahama picked number 2.
Yeah.
So for all of us, it was 1 and 2. Everywhere. There was no problem. Today, the two parties that have candidates in all the 276 constituencies, one picked 1, another one picked 8. So you go to a constituency and his candidate in that constituency may be number 4. Depending on the candidates that filed there. So you come to my constituency, only 2 of us filed. So I won't be 8, I will be 2. You go to another constituency, so there will be inconsistency as far as the NDC is concerned. That's what I'm saying.
Is this something that the Electoral Commission
must have science behind it. And because you close nominations before balloting, the EC should have the data that these political parties filed in all the constituencies.